Devaya. Please repeat after me. Hare Krishna.
Om
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devi Saraswati Vyasam
Tado Jayamudiraya
Ato Jayamudiraye
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
Nashtaprayesho Padresho
Nityam Bhagavada Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevya
Bhagavadi Uttama Sloke
Uttama Shloke
Bhaktir Bhavadi Naishtigim.
Bhavate Nastike.
We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, chapter 9, verse number. Shutridadubhir imamuhur adhyatmanaha Shidoshna varase iderachajam Kamaknin nayachyuda rusha chasudur sudurbharanena Sampyasya domana urukrama siddhademe Shutrid Tridadubhir imamuhur ardhyamanaha Shidoshna vadavarasai idaredaracha Kamaginachuda Rushaja Sudurbharena Sambasya domana urukrama siddha deme. Synonyms: Shud, hunger; Trit, thirst; Three Dadubihi, three humors, namely mucus, bile, and wind. Imaha, all of them. Muhuhu, always. Ardhyamanaha, perplexed. Sida, winter. Ushna, summer. Vata, wind. Varasehe, by rains. Idara, idarat, and many other disturbances. Cha, also. Kama, angina, by strong sex urges. Achyudarusha, in, indefatigable anger. Indefatigable anger. Cha, also. Sudurbharanena, most unbearable. Sambadasyadaha, so observing. Manaha, mind. Urikrama, O great actor. Siddhade, becomes despondent. Me, my. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: O great actor, my Lord, all these poor creatures are constantly perplexed by hunger, thirst, severe cold, secretion, and bile, attacked by coughing winter, blasting summer, rains, and many other disturbing elements, and overwhelmed by strong sex urges and indefatigable anger. I take pity on them, and I am very much aggrieved for them. Purport: a pure devotee of the Lord like Brahma and persons in his disciplic succession are always unhappy to see the perplexities of the conditioned souls, who are suffering the onslaughts of the threefold miseries which pertain to the body and mind, to the disturbances of material nature, and to many other such material disadvantages. Not knowing adequate measures for relieving such difficulties, suffering persons sometimes post themselves as leaders of the people, and the unfortunate followers are put into further disadvantages under such so-called leadership. This is like a blind man leading another blind man to fall into a ditch. Therefore, unless the devotee of the Lord take pity on them and teach them the right path, their lives are hopeless failures. The devotee of the Lord who voluntarily take the responsibility of raising the foolish materialistic sense enjoyers are so conditional to the Lord as Lord Brahma. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salagaya Chakshurunmilidam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you so much for joining today. So this verse, Brahma's prayers for creative energy, and this is the chapter 9, the third canto. So as we know that Brahma is seeing the Lord. This was Sage Maitreya is instructing to Vidura. So the Srimad Bhagavatam, which was originally spoken by the Sangarshan, Lord Sangarshan to four Kumaras, and the same topic is actually describing here. So Brahma is seeing the Lord, and the last verse also mentioned that one who is not able to hear the glories of the Supreme Lord, the names of the Supreme Lord, or not able to chant the Supreme, they are the most unfortunate. It's very true. And Lord Brahma is very much proclaiming the fact that we are all eternally inducted to the Supreme Lord. Everything, all auspiciousness comes only from the Supreme Lord. If one who is not in relationship with the Supreme Lord, one who is not able to even remember the Supreme Lord, they are the most unfortunate. And this verse is also the continuation of the same. And Lord Brahma is seeing that how unfortunate they are. So Lord Brahma is addressing to the Supreme as a great actor. So on the Sunday, His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj gave a beautiful, wonderful class about the Lord acting. So it's all act, like we call it as a pastime or leela. In English, it comes as a drama, right? Or we say leela or pastimes. The pastimes which manifest in such a way that the time, place, circumstances occurs, the Lord enacted in order to rejuvenate, in order to give the pleasure to the devotees, in order to also receive or attain the pleasure for himself, also protect the devotees in various reasons, various ways, depends on the time, place, circumstances, Lord act. So this is since time immemorial. This we are discussing this Srimad Bhagavatam for this one day of Brahma, right? That Brahma saw this at the beginning when the Brahma, manifested from the lotus, and many millions years after Brahma sprouted, in the lotus, and many millions after that, Brahma is actually also realized the Supreme, and also, uh, how uh, Brahma is addressed to the Supreme Lord. And by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, Lord is giving, this vision, this understanding to Brahma, so that Brahma can also start to create. At the same time, Brahma is also very much compassionate, very much aware of that, the problems of the living entities. So Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshani Darshanam, as Krishna's mentioned, referring into the Bhagavad Gita. This is possible. Every living entity who is born, who is taking birth in this material world, has to go through this suffering. Even Brahma has to go through. Brahma also has a death. So the similar context that Brahma understanding this, all the living entities has to go through this various kinds of calamities and the klesha and the problems. So Brahma is seeing this. So Brahma is addressing to the Supreme Lord, oh great actor, my Lord, all these poor creatures are constantly perplexed by hunger, thirst, severe cold, secretion, and bile, attacked by the coughing winter, blasting summer, rains, and many other disturbing elements, and overwhelmed by strong sex urges and indefatigable anger. I take pity on them, and I am very much aggrieved for them. And this is exactly also Prahlad Maharaj also referring the same context when when Prahlad Maharaj offering the praise to the Lord Narasimhadev, exactly is the same thing. These are the qualities of the great devotees. They are also always compassionate for the other living creatures, entities, their sufferings is para dukkha dukhi. The pure devotees are para dukkha dukhi. They always see, they ask for the question why it is happening, why they are suffering, so then they act accordingly. So here Brahma is also as the first living entity, and also we can say that Brahma is also a spiritual master. Brahma is also we consider as a father of the creation and the secondary creation in this material world. So naturally, father has this compassionate nature for his children. So Brahma is, Brahma is revealing the situation of the conditioned living entities. So here it is also we can understand the fact that living entities are conditioned. So that's also the nature of this material world. Anybody takes birth in this material world has to go through this conditioning. Conditioning means they take the birth, they take the death, they have to go through the old age, they have to go through the disease, condition, suffering and their hunger and their thirst. These are all conditioned. That's called conditioning. Conditioning means we have to go through this laws of material nature. Uh, so Brahma says, I take pity on them. Brahma is so compassionate. I take pity on them. So I am very much aggrieved for them. So Brahma is in such a state that seeing these calamities of the people, and Srila Prabhupada mentioning into the purport, everybody has to go through these calamities. There are three kinds of calamities: Adi Devik, Adhyatmika, and Adi Bhautik, and which is Adi Devik, which is created by the gods or this nature, this material nature, or by the gods. Adi Bhautik, which is created by the other living entities. Adhyatmik, which creates by himself from his mind, all these anarthas, kama, krodha, moha, lobha, madha, malsarya, this all creates by themselves, these calamities. So one has to go through all these calamities, but one who is actually like it's a pure devotee, he is compassionate, so he has such a compassion for these living entities and he comes forward and take action on it. So here Srila Prabhupada says into the purport that it's not like that, the blind leading to the blind. So that's the current situation of this world. Srila Prabhupada is also very compassionate, as we know that Srila Prabhupada took that step off at the age of 79 and came on this, the Western world and such a suffering. And we can see that, at that age, almost an year, without much money, just selling the books, and then very much struggling for a even one-time meal. And even one point of time, Srila Prabhupada was very much, decided, okay, let me go back. But still, Srila Prabhupada said, I came over this country. Lord has some plans. Let me suffer more. Let me struggle more. So this is the mentality. This is the compassionate nature of the pure devotees of the Lord, and then they act upon it. And we know that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Vasudeva Datta was a leper. Actually, due to the leprosy, and cannot even do anything. But so compassionate, even that there are sores and it was oozing by the blood, and it's so terrific. And in each of the wounds, which is kind of that open, and even the worms were there inside those wounds. And then whenever the worms comes out and fall down from the wounds, so Vasudeva Datta then actually pick up those worms and put it back. So the Vasudeva Datta was thinking that, because of me, it was living so nicely in my body, in these wounds, and let them live there happily. What difference it makes for me? It's already I've been going through this. So, dear devotees, this is the nature of the pure living entities, as it is mentioned, it's referring here. The focal point here is that pure devotees are always, compassionate to the other living entities. And also, we also need to understand that why, which also gives us this understanding, the why, the living entities are going through this suffering. And it's as we can see that. In the Srila Rupa Goswami is mentioning into the nectar of devotion, the root cause of the problems or the sufferings in this world are the ignorance. Srila Rupa Goswami very clearly mentioned that the root cause of the problem in this world is ignorance. So then we come to the point. So what is the ignorance? Ignorance means the one who doesn't have the knowledge of the Supreme, the knowledge, the Gyan and the Vigyan. And one who doesn't have this knowledge of the Supreme, then he has to go through this immense suffering in this material world, immense suffering in this material world. Has to take birth and again and again, depends on the karma. And those same sections, Srila Rupa Goswami very nicely mentioning about that there is a karma of the prarabdha karma, there is an aprarabdha karma. Everybody has to go through that. Karma means that the reactions of their activities, whether it is good or bad, mostly the bad reactions, which creates the suffering of the living entities in this material world. So Srila Rupa Goswami says that if one goes through this immense suffering, that one can actually come out of it. And how one can come out of it? By understanding the knowledge of the Supreme, then act upon it. So this is the disconnect part. It always says that many people ask this question: why we are suffering? Why I'm suffering in this world? I'm doing so many things, so many good things in this world. Then why I'm suffering in this world? So the reason is this one: because of they have no knowledge of the Supreme, and because they have no knowledge of the Supreme, they don't have any opportunity to perform the devotional service to get rid of all the karma, all the sinful reactions, and then they go through the suffering. So the pure souls, the pure devotees understand this. And they have the knowledge of the Supreme, then they have the Vigyan, they have the realized knowledge. When they have the realized knowledge, they understand this, and they tell to the suffering conditioned source that the root cause of our suffering is the ignorance of the Supreme Lord. So in the Lord also mentioning this in the second chapter of the 40th verse. Neha vikramanasasti solpa pratyavayona vidyade solpam abhiyasya dharmasya trayado mahado bhayan. And Sri Krishna also mentioning this to the Arjuna, the 40th verse. Neha vikramanasasti pratyavayona vidyade solpam abhiyasya dharmasya trayado mahado bhayan. Solpam, even little bit of the devotional service, little bit of the knowledge of the Supreme and act upon it, and then he can be relieved from the greatest danger of this material world. The greatest danger of the material world is in this world is not that we are going through, we don't have enough money, or we are going through so many things. But the greatest danger of this material world that we are not going to get a human form of life, and we fall down into the death, the hell, or naraka, and that is the greatest danger. So by just understanding, just one is able to realize this fact, that or the knowing the Supreme Lord, the supreme potency, that everything comes from him, and he is the cause of all the causes. He is the creator, he is the maintainer, he is the annihilator. Everything manifests from him. Aham sarvasya prabhuvo madhaga sarvam pravartade mayadhyakshena pragrade suyade sacharacharam. Everything manifests from him. And one who knows this, and then he realizes and he acts upon it, so he can slowly relieve from this condition of this janma murtyu jara vyadi, this hunger, taste, and all. Janma murtyu jara vyadi, that the repeated birth and death is actually the one that means that this is one has to go through this suffering, the ignorance. I remember a story, a beautiful story of Trishangu, and this is our conditioning. It's so beautiful. Krishngu was extremely beautiful, extremely handsome, and he puffed up. He puffed up in such a way that, oh, I'm so great, I'm so beautiful. I don't need to worry about anything. I have, all the richness, I have all the kingsmanship, I have all the relatives and the kingdom and everything I have. So let me enjoy this. Let me enjoy. I don't need to worry. I don't need to remember the Supreme. So this Trishangu was thinking that I have such a beautiful body, I have such a, I need to go to the, I need to go to the heavenly planets with the same body so that I can enjoy there. I can enjoy there. So then Trishangu was in looking for that. How can I go to the heavenly planets? So Trishangu approached, heard about that, approached many sages with the mystic's power. And finally, Trishangu, got the sage Vishwamitra. That time, sage Vishwamitra was in great penance and got lots of mystic power. And then Trishangu approached, Vishwamitra. Before that, Trishangu approached sage Vasishta. Sage Vasishta was a Brahmarshi. Sage Vasishta was such a mystic power and so much of potency. And when Trishangu approached Vasishta, sage Vasishta as a Brahmarshi, as a pure soul, pure devotee of the Lord, then denied this request, this demand. And sage Vasishta knew that what is the intention of Trishangu, that just to go to the heavenly planets and enjoy his entire life. So then there was a little bit kind of jealousy between sage Vasishta and the sage Vishwamitra. Sage Vishwamitra was a king as a Kshatriya, but seeing the potency of Vasishta, sage Vishwamitra was also wanted to attain the same potency of sage Vasishta and doing the penance for thousands of years. And sage Vishwamitra attained the mystic potencies. That's the time Trishangu approached, the sage Vishwamitra. Sage Vishwamitra agreed that he wanted to show that he has potency. So sage Vishwamitra made Trishangu to ascend to the heavenly planets with the same body. When sage Vishwamitra put that potency and mystic power, and Trishangu was ascending to the heavenly planets, as soon as Trishangu, when attained, reached into the heavenly planets, Indra saw that there is a person from the earthly planet without enough qualifications and came to the heavenly planets. And then Indra pushed down Trishangu back to the earth. Then again, Trishangu approached Vishwamitra, and Vishwamitra started a very big sacrifice, very big sacrifice for thousands of years. And with the potency of that sacrifice, sage Vishwamitra again, sent Trishangu back to the heavenly planets. So there, Indra again pushed him, down. This time, Indra pushed Trishangu in upside down. So it is not in the straight, and it's an upside down. And Vishwamitra's potency also that time created a heavenly planets in between, that then Trishangu was actually then holded there in upside down. And we can imagine that even if we stand for or sit for 30 minutes in one position, that how much painful situation it is. And sit for 30 minutes of 1 hour, our body start to ache. So here in this condition, Trishangu was in upside down and he was so much in painful. And all these years, and he was upside down for all these years. And we can imagine that how much painful condition a person has to go through. So why it is happened? There's a point why it is happened. So because of not understanding, because of this ignorance, and see things that this what we have is everything. So then we start to behave accordingly, and then we don't remember and realize that the importance of or asking this question: who am I? What is my eternal, constitutional position? Why I'm hearing? Why I took take the birth? Why I'm existing here? Why I'm going through this suffering? What is the root cause of this? So one has to inquire this. That's where it's beginning. Other though at the beginning, other though Brahma Jigyasa, at the beginning, one has to go through these questions: that who am I? Why I'm suffering in this world? What is my identity? Then we get this mercy of the Supreme. At that moment, the Chaitya Guru, the Supreme Lord, gives us some directions to approach a spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master, or a devotee of the Lord. And by the mercy of the devotee of the Lord, our devotional service begins, so that we slowly start to understand and realize the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. We are the part and parcel of the Supreme. We are not alone, we are not independent in this world. We are dependent upon the Supreme Lord. And who is the creator, who is the cause of all the causes. This is where our journey begins. And even if it is that little bit of in this life, and this can save us from the greatest danger of not being, getting a human birth or not realizing the Supreme Lord. So the fact is that, yeah, we are all going through, every living entity in this material world has to go through this suffering. No matter what, whoever takes this birth has to go through this suffering, and there is no exceptions for it. Everybody has to. So then the question is that as we can see that the Lord Brahma is addressing to the Supreme that everybody is actually suffering in this world, but actually what is the cause of it, how one can relieve from it. That's where we have to look at it. So the devotees are very compassionate, very, they are very benevolent and very, very compassionate to the poor living conditions of the living entities. And they realize that, because of the ignorance that they don't have the knowledge of the Supreme, they don't engage into the devotional service, or they don't engage into the activities of the devotional service. Then they have to take birth again and again in this world, and they have to go through the sufferings of hunger and thirst, and the hunger and the old age and the diseases. But that's where it comes to the point, one who takes up these realizations or self-realization or this Supreme Lord's realization, then they are able to come out of it. That condition is called as liberation. Otherwise, they have to suffer in this world eternally. So here, Brahma is addressing to the Supreme Lord, oh great actor, is that these conditions are there. So, please relieve them, in such a condition that, and also Brahma prays that, please give me this knowledge so that this can impart to the other living entities so that they all can come out from these suffering material conditions in this world and they can liberate themselves. Um, the point is, the bottom point is that pure devotees of the Lord, they always compassionate to the suffering material conditions of these living entities. And there is only one way that we can come out of it, is actually engaging and realizing the our Supreme Father, and then engage ourselves in that mode of devotional service. We know that even Narada was very much anxiety when Kali Yuga was approaching. Narada was seeing that Kali Yuga is approaching. So there is, everybody is going to, goes through this, extreme conditions of suffering. So Narada also approached Brahmadev. What is the solution? So this time Brahma knew this. The problems are going to come, and Brahma is revealed that supreme secret to the Narada. And it's in the Kali Sandurnamadishad, it is referring that. Brahma said to the Narada Dev, yes, Kali Yuga is coming. So the one way that people can come out of this material suffering and eternally, that they can liberate themselves. And Brahma was saying this to the Narada Dev. Narada Dev was, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Idi Shodashtakam Namnam Kali Kalmashanashanam Nada Paradarupaya Sarva Vedesha Drishyade. This is the supreme Paratara Upayam. This is the supreme solution for this age of Kali. Kali Kalmashanashanam. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One who is able to chant this holy name in this age of Kali is the supreme solution to come out of all Kali Kalmashanas and all these sufferings and the problems of this Kalmasha. Kalmasha means also covers by this Adi Devik, Adhyatmik, Adi Bhautik, and the problems and the sufferings, and one can liberate themselves from these material suffering conditions, and they can go back to Krishna. So pure devotees understand this science of this secrets, this confidential knowledge. So we have to be very much rely on these pure devotees and take their shelter, so that we also can come out from these suffering conditions. So with this note, I would end here. Thank you so much for being there. Sorry for the little, you know, late in this beginning. Thank you so much for being there, and an opportunity to discuss among each other the glories of the Supreme. Thank you. Hare Krishna. So are there any comments, concerns, questions, or anything that, or if there is, it's already son of, please put it into the Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So Hare Krishna. Back to you, Madhuri Proj.
Hari Bolo. Thank you. So, we'd like to wish you all a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead. We like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting 3 times Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
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 Krishna,
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 Hare
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 Krishna,
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 Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
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 Hare,
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 Hare
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 Rama,
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
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 Ram,
Rama,
Ram,
Ram
Rama
Ram
Ram,
Rama,
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
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 Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Hare.
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
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 Hare
Hare
Ram
Ram,
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 Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Hare.
Hare
Hare. Jai Narsingha,
Jai
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 Nrsimha,
Narsingha, Jai
Nrsimha,
Jai
Shri
Nrsimha, Jai Jai
Narsingha,
Nrsimha, Jaya Jaya
Nrsimha,
Nrsimha
Aladesha Jaya
Deva,
Padma Mukha Padma
Aladesha
Radesha
Jaya
Linga,
Jaya
Padma
Padma
Mukha
Mukha
Padma,
Padma Linga,
Linga,
Ugra
Ugram
Ugram
Viram
Veeram
Veeram
Mahavishnu,
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 Sarvatam,
Sarvatam Sarvatam,
Sarvatomukham,
Bhadram
Darshana
Darshanam
Vishami
Bhisham
Bhishanam
Bhattram,
Bhadram
Mrityum
Nityam
Namami
Nityam
Amam,
Namami Am.
Narsingh Bhagwan ki Jai,
Ki Jai,
Jai
Maharaj ki Jai.
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 Let us offer our humble obeisances at the lotus feet of all the assembled Vaishnavas. Vancha
Pancha
kalpataruvasya,
Kalpatarubhyascha,
Panchakalpatarubhyascha,
Kripa
Patitavasya,
Evacha,
Devacha,
Patitanam
Patitanam
Pavanebhyo
Nam
Pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo
Vaishnavyo
Vaishnavyo
Yo
Namaha.
Namaha.
Namo Namaha,
Vaishnava
Vaishnavinda Ki Jai,
Jai
Granth
Granthram
Bhagavatam
Srimad
ki Jai,
Bhagavatam
Srila
Ki
Prabhupada
Jai,
Jai
Prabhupada ki Jai.
Prabhupada
Thank you,
Ki